So guys, a couple of weeks ago, we finally got some more inventory into the Walmart store, and ever since, sales have been on fire. In fact, I actually just had my biggest day of sales ever, and that's what we're gonna be diving into in this video. I'll break down that record-setting day of sales, walk you through my numbers so far here in July, show you the products I'm currently selling, and we'll take a closer look at the profits and margins so far this month. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say the Walmart store, here's a quick overview of what's going on. And some of you guys might already be familiar with this, so I do apologize if you've heard this before. But anyway, back in April, I applied to become a third-party seller on Walmart.com. And the idea here is pretty simple. I buy products, send them into Walmart, and then sell those products on Walmart's website. And this is all part of something called Walmart WFS, which stands for Walmart Fulfillment Services. And breaking that down a bit more, if you have products to sell, you can actually send them into Walmart's warehouses. Walmart will store your products, list them for sale on their website, and then they'll take care of the entire fulfillment process, from packaging to shipping and everything in between when a customer places an order. Now, the obvious question here is, okay, how do you know which products to sell and where do you even get them? Well, I've been working with a company called Limits Express Company that manages the whole thing for me. They're actually the sponsor of today's video, and thanks to them, I don't have to lift a finger to run this store. Limits Express literally handles everything from sourcing the inventory through their supplier network to having that inventory shipped to their own warehouse where they repackage it with your store's information, and then they send that inventory into Walmart where Walmart then handles the fulfillment. Now, the cool thing about working with a company like this is because they're working with multiple clients and because they're placing such large orders in bulk, they're able to negotiate really strong pricing on all of this inventory, which means better margins when you sell it on Walmart and ultimately a higher return on your invested capital. Now, I didn't know a whole lot about this stuff before I started working with Limits Express, but I've got to say one of the things that really sold me on wanting to work with them specifically was their transparency. They really go out of their way to put everything out in the open. Just like how I document my dividend investing journey here on YouTube, they're documenting their entire Walmart business over on their channel. They make educational content about how Walmart WFS works, and they also post regular updates showing how their clients are doing, which is really cool to see. So like I said, they're very transparent and their incentives are actually aligned with yours. They only make money when you make money, so they're highly motivated to get good results. And I've got to say, I've gotten great results so far working with them. With all of that said, if you're interested in learning more about generating passive income through Walmart WFS, just click the link in the description of the video or in the pinned comment, or just scan this QR code right here to book a free 30-minute Zoom call with Kyle, one of the co-founders of Limits Express. If any of this sounds interesting to you, I genuinely think the best way to go about it is just by outsourcing it to the pros who live and breathe this stuff every day. So definitely set up a call and start building another passive income stream with Limits Express Company. But anyway, guys, now that we're all caught up to speed, if you'll remember, April and May were both very solid months in the store. In total, between the two, we did about $5,000 in sales, which was a very strong start right out of the gate, especially when you consider the fact that I only spent $2,000 on inventory. With that said, I did a full video going over the in-depth numbers from those months, so if you want to check that out, there's a link to it in the description and also in the pinned comment. Now moving on, last month was pretty quiet. Nothing really happened in June, even though we do see some action there on both ends of the chart. Looks like there was one return there, and according to the chart, one sale actually at the end of the month, but I think that was just a glitch because I didn't even have any inventory at the time. And that's why June was so quiet. I had sold out of all of my inventory from April and May, and so there was just a lag time before new inventory was sent in and applied to the store. And that inventory didn't make it to Walmart until about mid-ish July. I think my first sale from this new batch of inventory came on July 12th. And it's only one product so far. There is more inventory being sent in as we speak. We'll talk more about that later on in the video, but this one product is generating some killer sales so far. Jumping over to Walmart, this is the product that I have in stock right now that I'm selling. It's this Roku Smart Soundbar. We can see it's going for about $119 a pop. And according to my spreadsheet here, Limits Express was able to pick this up for $69 per unit, and the shipping on this is $3.30 per unit. So if we're selling it for, $119 per unit, that's about a 65% markup, including the price of shipping per unit, including that $3.30. And with all of that said, my inventory spent on this product is $3,174, and that got me 46 units. And now over here in my Walmart Seller Center, as we can see, I've already sold through about a third of those units. In total, I've sold 14. And like I said a few moments ago, my first day of sales with this product was on July 12th, and we brought in a whopping $599.95, just a nickel short of $600, which is my biggest day of sales ever. Prior to this, my biggest day of sales would have been on May 1st for $467.82. So we definitely saw a big jump up from that, which is very cool. And since the product hit the shelves, it's been selling pretty consistently. Obviously, this first day was very hot. The next day we didn't generate any sales, but since then I'd say we've averaged about one sale per day at least. You know, $120 there, $120 there. That's just one unit sold in that day. Have another sale here on the 17th after a gap here and a gap there, and then things really start to pick up. We've got 2 sales on the 19th. Looks like 3 sales, excuse me, on the 20th, just a few days ago. And then on the 21st, which actually was my birthday, we did pretty good, got 1 more sale. And like I said, in total, we've sold 14 units so far, and the total gross sales is $1,679.86. So obviously some pretty steady sales. And actually, if we go back to the home page, the dashboard in my seller center, today's been pretty good too. We've got 2 orders so far today, about halfway through the day as I'm recording this, so we'll see where it finishes up. But overall, the sales with this guy have been pretty consistent. I definitely like to see that, and overall, it's been a very solid month. Now, diving a bit deeper into some of the numbers here, let's break down the sales all the way to the margins. The sales, as we talked about, were $1,679.86, and because we were able to buy each unit for $69, and we've sold 14 units so far this month, that's going to bring the cost of goods sold to $966. So we'll subtract that from the sales. We'll also subtract the WFS fees, which were $142.02, and the cost of the shipping per unit. So once again, 14 units, $3.30 in shipping per unit. That's going to come out to $46.20, which means that the profit on our units sold so far, just those 14 units, comes out to $525.64. Not too shabby, guys. If we crunch the numbers on those margins, $525.64 into our $1,679 in sales, that comes out to about a 31.3% profit margin. And now if we jump over looking at the returns on invested capital, we'll take that same $525.64, which once again is our profit, and divide that into the $3,174 that we put up for all that inventory. That's going to amount to a 16.6% return on invested capital so far, which I think is pretty good, especially when you consider we're not just looking at the money invested for the unit sold, we're looking at all of the dollars invested for all of the inventory. But let's run the numbers again. Let's divide the profits into just the dollars invested on the units sold. So 14 units bought at $69 per unit. That's that $966. Remember, we saw that number a moment ago. And that's going to bring us to a 54.4% return on invested capital just on the units sold. And I'm sure all of these numbers will fluctuate more as time goes on and we sell through the units a bit more. But keep in mind, this only takes into account 1/3 of the available inventory. So I think all of that's looking pretty good so far. Now guys, like I mentioned a moment ago, I do have one other product that is making its way to Walmart right now as we speak, and that is this other product right here, this Stream Smart Wi-Fi router. As we can see, it is selling for about $45 per unit, and Limits Express was able to pick this up for only $20 per unit. So that's over a 100% markup if we're gonna be able to sell it at this current price right here. That'll be very sweet. But as far as this product goes, I have about $2,200 of inventory being sent in, and that's going to get me 112 units. And I'm hoping that this will hit the store in the next couple of weeks. I know that right now it's on its way to Limits Express warehouse, and then from there it should be pretty straightforward to get it into Walmart. But I think this will be able to start generating sales sometime early August, so that'll be another nice income generator. But anyway, guys, that's what's been happening in my Walmart store this month. And with that, if you want to see how some of my other products have been selling, then check out this next video right over here. I referenced this video earlier, but these were my sales and my profits and my returns from April and May a few months ago, but these were my first 2 full months of having this store, and the results were off the hook. So click right over here to check those out, and I'll see you in the next one.